Hey everyone, Dr. Ramani here. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism and narcissistic relationships and healing from these relationships, and sometimes to take on an Am I the Asshole, which is what we're going to do today. So here we go. In this case, it's a woman, 35-year-old woman and her 38-year-old husband, and they're what you would call Disney adults. We used to work for the parks in college and met there. For us, it has sentimental value as being something we both loved from childhood. Now, we are conscious to not be those Disney adults. We can hold conversations outside of the movies and parks. We both work well-paying jobs unrelated to the company. We have other hobbies and interests. Our son isn't big on Disney and we're cool with that. It's just something that we enjoy as well as our daughters. We nurture all of our children's hobbies and interests. We also don't blow all of our money on this stuff. I know I may sound overly defensive, but we get lots of comments from people who don't know us well. Anyway, we live in a renovated farmhouse on a bit of land that includes a barn that we finished off with hopes to make it a guest house one day. In the meantime, we've had a relative get married here and it was gorgeous. Now my sister wants to get married on our property and we were all for it. Everything's been planned for months and the wedding is in June. It's set to be outside completely, but if it rains, we can move the party into the barn. The only reason a guest would have to go in our house is to use the bathroom. We have two on the first floor. The only Disney items are Winnie the Pooh hand towels. I told my sister I'd replace them with regular ones. Wedding space has no Disney items in it. Or the wedding space has no Disney items. However, she wants me to take down everything Disney on the first floor of my house, as guests will see it. We have a lot of Disney items, pictures, paintings, blankets, Funko Pops, I don't know what that means, decorations, figurines, dishware, etc., all made for adults, and a lot of it is subtle or vintage. But you can still see or still tell that it's Disney. One, this would be a massive undertaking. It's not as simple as shoving stuff in a closet. We'd have to pack it up and find a place to store. The sheer amount of time would require at least 2 hours of packing, not to mention storage and unpacking after those hours. Two, it's ridiculous to me. Who cares if people see? She says it looks tacky and she doesn't want people to remember her wedding for that. I told her no. We're decorating the outside and barn as she wants. We're letting her use our property for free, which she keeps bragging about to friends as it's saving them a ton. When my husband and I stood firm, she whined to our parents who told us to grow up and take it down. Okay, I have a lot to say about this. First of all, I had to check myself on this because I'm actually one of those people who judges Disney adults, and now I feel guilty because this sounds like actually a nice person. And very, very, very dear friend of mine is a Disney adult. She's literally the smartest person I've ever met. Top 5. PhD from Harvard, you name it. You know, if you're watching it, hon, you know I'm talking about you. Loves Disney. I worked with her for years, and now we're close friends. And she stands firm in her love for Disney. And while I don't get it, listen, everyone's got things that they love, and I don't think we get to judge them. The measure of love that we don't judge them. I love my friend, Disney or no Disney. I don't have to go to Disney. I've done my time there. I've taken my kids. But Disney's not the point here, okay? Her sister wants to save this money, spend nothing on a venue, which really can often cost a lot of money. The Disney person writing this letter is saying, I'm willing to do everything she wants, decorate it the way she wants, do everything she wants. And this sister's grousing about the bathroom. First of all, let little Miss Bridezilla know that no matter what venue she had it at, they were going to have public restrooms. A, who knows what condition those would be in, which are sometimes gross. And B, they're going to have their weird, tacky, framed pictures of like vases of flowers in it. Isn't that what like a lot of wedding venue places have? It's not like that's high-class art. Nobody puts high-class art in a bathroom, and we walk through spaces to get to whatever we're getting to. That would have happened wherever she had her wedding. So, number one, step the hell off. Number two, here we are once again. Every Am I the Asshole? I've done enough of these now and read them, many of these carefully. They're always about entitlement, right? I've said this before. Entitlement does not a narcissistic person make. I think that people who live in sort of the fantasy, my wedding has to look like a fairy tale, which already is telling me not looking good for the marriage, but the wedding has to look a certain way, never a healthy point of view. But and now it has to look a certain way, and I'm entitled to it looking that way, and I'm entitled to you giving me all this stuff for free. Pure entitlement, which you can see is being enabled by her parents it has to come from somewhere. So she's always gotten the message that it's okay. It's interesting that this family hasn't chosen to work the problem. Again, another dear friend of mine 1,000 years ago got married in an outdoor setting, and she lived in a very old house, which was on the property. She said that plumbing could not handle 200 people flushing a toilet. It's just not happening. So they got these really nice porta potties that are nicer than the bathrooms in most people's houses. And she even like put pretty pictures on. It was like really nice. Like the bathroom was kind of a high point. And so you can get really nice porta potties. They even have like sinks in them and warm water, the whole 9 yards. So the fact that the sister won't even work that problem, that she feels entitled to it. And it also comes down to, though, the conditionality of love, right? That's where these family systems fall apart. I have no idea if this is a narcissistic family system. There's definitely a very spoiled, entitled sister in this system. But this idea of not accepting people when the thing they're doing is not offensive. It's one thing if you have a family member who's racist and you don't want to accept them. I understand that. She has plates with Mickey Mouse in her house. This is not a capital offense, and it's her damn house. And honestly, if you went to the bathroom at Disneyland, guess what pictures are there as you walk to the bathroom? And people get married, I guess, Disney-ish weddings. I don't know. I've never been to one. It's the entitlement, and it's the conditionality, and it's you give these folks who are entitled an inch and they take a mile. Oh, I'm going to redecorate your whole house and expect you to put all this time into it and let me use it for free and do everything that you want. So I actually am glad to see, A, that this Disney couple is sticking together and neither one is sort of, it's not like, oh, let's just take it down. I'm glad to see them as a unit. That's a healthy relationship because the ask is completely unreasonable. It is to use the bathroom. They're not inviting these people into their home. And the fact that the sister couldn't just take, again, this is what entitled people do. They don't work the problem and say, okay, you know what, we're not paying for anything else. Why don't we get the porta potty? Or I bet she could have maybe even suggested it to the sister out the gate, say, hey, and she could have even lied to the sister. She could have said, hey, instead of people tromping through your house, I don't know that I'd want a bunch of people tromping through my house to use a bathroom. So instead of people tromping through the house, would you be willing to, maybe the sister's broke. I don't know. If you're broke, though, you shouldn't be having a big wedding anyhow. But could we get a porta potty? Would you mind? Because that way, and yeah, probably this sister, it sounds like she's doing well, might have said, sure, I'll help pay for that. Or get the parents that are as entitled as her to do that as well. But I'll tell you this, like, again, in Disneyland, it's supposed to be the magic kingdom and full of imagination. So keep your house magic as you can. Don't let these people into your house to be criticizing stuff that you've painstakingly and lovingly collected. We all have things that we love. We should not be judging that. And so the things that they like, it's sweet, and they seem to have good boundaries around it, and the sister is entitled. And again, over and over, this is the theme. So how do you deal with entitled family members? Just like this person did. You set the boundary. There's always that second guessing when we set a boundary with an entitled person. Because, and one thing we have to learn about boundaries, and we see this over and over again in Emma the Assholes, boundaries are an interesting game, right? When two healthy people are together, more often than not, you don't even have to have a big boundary conversation, because by virtue of being two healthy people, they're like, let me check in. Let me make sure that's okay. Let me communicate. You don't have to talk about boundaries. It's sort of what healthy people do without being asked. But then what you'll always have is, in any other conversation about boundaries, it's the person who has to set them and the person who will not honor them. That tends to be a go. I know there's a lot of people out there like, set boundaries, and it's all so magical and great. Not what I see in this whole world of narcissistic abuse or even light entitled stuff. So what she's going to find is that not only did she try to set a boundary, now, as many of us find, we're holding the bag on the distress for, did I do the right thing? Was this a wrong thing? She's doubting, am I an asshole for not wanting to undecorate my house of things that matter to me, so my sister can have whatever cheap version of a wedding she wants that she doesn't want to pay for but feels entitled to, and feels entitled to go this bridge too far. It really is like someone coming to your house and you inviting someone to sleep at your house and them saying, yeah, could I have your bedroom instead? No, you can't. So again, I Thank you actually for making me a better person. I'm going to text my friend who loves Disney and tell her I actually feel really bad for not being nice to her about that more. So I actually thank you. I actually am glad I got this Am I the Asshole, because it will help foster a friendship I had where I should have been a lot kinder. But I'll tell you, I would never, if she ever offered me to stay in her house, ever ask her to take off her Disney stuff off the walls. And nor should any of you, unless I guess you're entitled. So there's you. I hope the wedding, if you do it, goes well. Don't let her get you down. And if she does get porta potties, you know what I'd do? I'd hang pictures of Winnie the Pooh in every stall. Thanks again.